And here we go. It is Monday, September 8th, 2025, and you are tuned into 103.9 WYAB and the Andrew Gosser Show. If you want to be part of the program this week, the number is 601 879 0002. If you want to be part of that texting crew, which I am incredibly grateful for, 601 879 5060. Got a little bit of a change the intro here. Listen up, listen up. We're streaming on Rumble. We're streaming on X. We're streaming on YouTube. I am no longer allowed to stream on that social media platform that begins with a F because they sent me a nasty email. And we're also streaming at wyab.com, the mothership. You can always find us there. I got an alert about my show that I did and um, just decided, you know what? It's no longer worth it to go ahead and stream on that platform. I think what I'll try to do, I didn't do it today, but I'll get the stream link up to Rumble or X or YouTube and just put it there if people want to try to tune in there. But it's just the way that things are going with that platform. You know, during the news break, we just heard that India is going to go ahead and cancel a bunch of their social media platforms. Free speech is quickly dying around the globe and here in the United States. You know, it's one of those things where as we grew up, we always told our moms and dads, I got it. I understand. You don't have to tell me. And what it really was is our parents trying to impart wisdom on us, but we were so young and stupid, we just weren't paying attention. But this came through today as I was reading. It said, listen to instruction and be wise and do not neglect it. I'll tell you what, I do wish I could go back and listen to my mama when she was trying to drop a lot of wisdom on me that I just kind of blew off, didn't do it. It's going to be awesome this week. We're going to have a lot of great topics. I'm really looking forward to talking about the Rutgers study that came out last week and what the left wing thinks about certain topics in America. It's truly frightening, and we've got the study to prove it. This Thursday, I believe it is. Yep, it's Thursday. It's 9/11. That's going to be a special show because 9/11 was my first day as a lieutenant in the United States Air Force. I was a prior, so I already had my security clearance, and I went into work that day. And what's really crazy about it is I have my I actually journaled 9/11 and 9/12 because I wanted to remember all the stuff. So I've got like little things that I'm going to go through and talk about, and just basically what was it like being in the United States military, Tyndall Air Force Base, Air Force Civil Engineering Support Agency, and that'll be on Thursday. There's so much to talk about, where to get going. I guess we have to start off with the media censorship of the man who killed the Ukrainian refugee who was trying to escape Ukraine for a better life, had a job as a pizza maker, working in a pizzeria in Charlotte, North Carolina. And this story was buried. We didn't even hear about it by any of the mainstream news media until it went nuts on X. I agree with I had some of the texters this weekend had a conversation with a few of you talking about how some people do not like X because there's misinformation out there, and I had to agree. There's misinformation everywhere. But the thing is that we have to use that thing behind our eyes and between our ears called a brain to figure out what's legitimate and what's not. And realizing that sometimes we are going to get snookered. It's not fun. It's never fun to admit you're wrong, but it does happen. And the truth of the matter is, it's just a test of your integrity. It's just a test of your integrity. Do you think you can go ahead and admit you're wrong and then move on? But as soon as this started taking off on X, you started seeing headlines. But what really got me was Wikipedia. And what I have decided to do with this program is I'm going to start archiving stuff because I know within 6 to 8 months, people are going to say, Andy, that never happened. You can't prove it, blah, 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 blah. So I archived Wikipedia, and this is documenting the killing of Irana Zarutska, and dear Lord, me and names. But anyways, it goes through and it completely documents on Wikipedia what happened, where she was born in Kiev, Ukraine, arrived with her family in the United States in 2022, fleeing an ongoing war following Russia's invasion of her home country. That's fine. There's been a GoFundMe page created by her family to support her family after this murder. The 34-year-old suspect who was fair jumping at the time murdered her, and this is all on closed caption TV. There are some pages out there that show that. I don't even subscribe to any of that. I don't need to see that. I'm just glad that someone's got it so that they can get this joker locked up. And what's interesting here is there are some reports that said he's been arrested as many as 12 times, some as many as 14 times. What I'm going to say is he's been arrested a lot of times. Wikipedia says he's been arrested multiple times and convicted of robbery and larceny, as well as being charged with assault and misuse of the 911 system. And this is just a guy that should not be out there. And it's a failure of the mayor. It's the failure of the DA. It's the failure of our criminal justice system continuing to let bad people out that come back and start influencing society and dragging it further and further down the ropes. It happens all the time. We see it in Chicago this weekend. Quick crime update because JB Pritzker and Mayor Brandon said that no problem with crime in Chicago. Another 7 dead and another 12 wounded. Chicago. Don't send in the National Guard. Don't do anything. Just do everything the way it is. I genuinely believe that President Trump should go ahead and just say, you know what? People who want us to go help, like we did in Washington, D.C., these red governors will start taking advantage of it. New Orleans will be one of those places. It'll get cleaned up, and the people in Chicago will be a lesson. But I got sidetracked on that, but I want to get back to this. Long story short is the aftermath of the story with this young Ukrainian girl. And I didn't even realize it. I have to say that my wife was the one who showed it to me. And it's tragic, this young girl who's just trying to get herself, better her family, better her way of life is dead. It completely took off on Twitter. But listen to what Wikipedia says. The killing garnered national attention in the United States, particularly from right-wing political commentators, and was described by the Charlotte Observer as becoming politicized. Why was it politicized? Don't we think it's absolutely wrong? It doesn't matter what color the race of the people involved are? A guy with multiple convictions and arrests, who's been in the system, who was fair jumping, pulled out a pocket knife and stabbed a girl to death on the train? Shouldn't we be outraged by something like that? According to the mainstream media and Wikipedia, nope. Goes on, basically says local district attorney has discussed gaps in Mecklenburg County. My goodness, here we go already. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Yes, how you doing? Listen, I just wanted to make a comment concerning that young lady.
Yeah.
And the one when you, I think it was very awful that that happened to her. And you made a statement where you said that the governor, the person or whatever his name is, and that the mayor of Chicago said it's safe in Chicago. Yeah, it is safe for them. You're right. For those two individuals, they can go wherever they want to because they have all sorts of guards around them, you know. But it speaks for itself. But getting back to that young lady, I blame us. When I say us, I'm talking about the American public. These people who live in New York and these sanctuary cities, they're allowing these governors and mayors to do things like that. They're not doing what they're supposed to do. They shouldn't allow like that law that no cash bail or law to even pass because they had the citizens are the one. We got to stop and wake up. We send people to Washington. We put people in these offices, the governors and the mayors and all. We're going to have to wake up and say, hey, enough is enough. You're going to follow us. We sent you there. You're supposed to be doing what we say do, not what you say and people who paying you under the table to say. That's about all. This is Willie. Y'all take care and God bless, okay?
Wisdom from Willie. God bless you, Willie. Remember, sometimes our parents would say, do as I say, not as I do. And we get all fired up over that. Many of our politicians are the same way. Do as I say, not as I do. Doesn't matter. We're just not talking about governors and mayors. We're talking about congressmen, too. Take advantage of the stock trading abilities that they have to make millions and millions of dollars off of our backs. Think about this. You know, shout out to the blue collar crew, but we're out there busting our butts 10 to 12 hours a day in the hot sun, and we get an extra $1,000, and we're going to put that into the stock market, and we're going to invest that in company X. And in comes unnamed Congressman 421. And they know something's going to happen, and they play the same stock you are going to get. And all of a sudden, you get that big bump, and you're like, that's great. Situation 2. You're working out there, you got that extra $1,000 to put in, you put it into company Y. Same Congressman 421 goes ahead and puts his money in. It starts to get a little bump, and then all of a sudden it bumps out, and now you start losing money because that stock or because that Congress critter knew something was going to change. Yeah, I'm all about the don't do as I say, do as I say kind of rhetoric there. Well, you got me on a sidetrack. I want to get back to this Wikipedia story because it's really going to make a lot of sense here in a minute. Like I said, people have said that this story has been politicized. People are specifically pointing out X and Elon Musk. And, of course, people are talking, just like Willie talked about, cashless bail. People are complaining about all these left-wing Democrat policies that have turned our urban communities, our mega metropolises, our cities, our areas with high population densities into living hellholes, and they are. And how do we reclaim those areas back? Well, Wikipedia does not like this story. And this is why I archived it. Listen to this. An editor has nominated this article for deletion. You are welcome to participate in the deletion discussion, which will decide whether or not to retain it. Feel free to improve the article, but do not remove this notice before the discussion is closed. For more information, please see the guide to deletion. And basically what it's saying is that this is a political story. It's not real news, and it doesn't need to be archived on Wikipedia. Now, Gen Xers, remember when we were growing up, they said, don't trust Wikipedia, but Wikipedia, we're just dumping everything on there, and that'll be a place where you can go. Look at where it is in 2025. Everything that we were taught would turn out great and be used to enhance American society, enhance human history, is now being weaponized against us. And I know this is a big thing of the theme of the Andrew Gosser Show, how the news media lies, deceives, and manipulates us into thinking certain ways. But I just feel as we get these examples, and they're so evident, they're so fluent, we must use them, and we must announce them. and then we go ahead and use that same energy to start getting involved locally. So that doesn't happen here in Mississippi, because while it's not happening here now on the scale and grandeur that it's happening in Chicago, New York, or LA, it will come here if we're not careful. And we're going to talk about that after we get back from the break. You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. Oh, yeah. I absolutely love that song. It's always great to be back at 103.9 WYAB. This is the Andrew Gosser Show. I always appreciate it when my broheims check in and let me know how they're liking the show. Tell me I'm doing a good job. I appreciate the support. Look, this whole news media push to quiet down this latest killing is just one of the many facets. And you would think that the mainstream media would learn from its past mistakes, whether it be ABC, who got fined $16 million and George Stephanopoulos had to retire. He was forced out. Or if it was CBS and all the craziness that's happened with CBS, fined over $30 billion. Or $30 million, I think. I can't remember now. B's, M's. They were fined all sorts, 30 million. They were fined all this money. You would think they would not make that same mistake again. But if you thought that they wouldn't make that mistake again, you would be wrong. CBS, we played it last week, cut up that Kristi Noem interview and basically cut out all the craziness about that guy Abreu and all of the sinister stuff he did, human trafficking, taking pictures with little kids, inappropriate pictures, just bad stuff. This is coming from firstamendment.edu. CBS forbids editing of Face the Nation interviews after complaint from Kristi Noem. Days after the complaints of over the handling of an interview with the Homeland Security Chief, Kristi Noem, on Face the Nation, it would no longer allow editing of its morning guest words on the Saturday morning public affairs show or Sunday morning public affairs show. No more editing at all. That's going to be great. You know who we're never going to see on Face the Nation ever again? Kamala Harris. And quite frankly, we're not going to see a lot of political figures on there who can't eloquently defend their position. You didn't have to worry about that with JD Vance this weekend. I did watch JD's interview last night with the Sweet Bee doing some show prep. And I was looking for edits. I was looking for where they would try to cut them out and make it. I'm not saying that there wasn't editing done, because whenever you see them switch an angle like that, that gives them the opportunity to go ahead and see the cut. But one thing you can do is if you're not watching necessarily the jump cut, but actually listening, you can hear when they actually go between the different views. And there were one or two times where I knew that they did cut something, but I'm not sure what it was. And to be truthful, if ever a liberal Democrat has their interview cut up to make them look bad and not good on Fox News, I think they should totally record it. I know that when I was a highway commissioner, I ended up getting done dirty by one of these little pipsqueak reporters. And I started recording it. And Illinois is a single reporting state. So as long as I knew I was recording it and I gave myself permission to record the interview, I would. And I called them out. And, it turned that paper going down a very dark path for a long time. And of course, he moved on. But that's neither here nor there. But these politicians do need to protect themselves when they go into these news agencies, whether it be left wing or right wing. We're equal opportunity offenders here at the Andrew Gosser Show. And if there's a news organization, regardless of its biasy, and they're sitting there purposely trying to manipulate the viewing audience, they need to be called out for it. And CBS will no longer allow any of their political interviews to be edited if they're on the CBS Sunday morning show, Face the Nation. Going forward, CBS said it would only broadcast live or live-to-tape interviews on the show, meaning guest statements could not be edited, subject to the legal or national security restrictions that are on CBS. That makes sense. And You do not want a politician who goes out there and starts spouting something that he's not or she's not supposed to talk about, and that could happen on either side of the aisle. And quite frankly, I have seen people who have accidentally said something and knew it and report it and said, "I screwed up," and that stuff does happen, but if we can get that taken out, then definitely should do that. So, this just goes to show you, even when we win, even when we start clearing out CBS and we think we finally got them fixed, including new leadership and ownership, they still screw it up. The best thing that can happen to CBS is that they end up not only not o the sale is done, but they just need to go in there and fire everybody, everybody, down to the coffee maker. Sorry, you gots to go, and hire in brand new people who have a focus on journalism again. Nothing new is under the sun. America went through a situation just like we're going through right now back in the 20s and 30s. It was called yellow journalism right back then. I don't know what we're gonna call it today, but it is all well, we could call it fake news. Good point, Mr. Texter, unknown texter. The bottom line is that we gotta continue to do this. And she was talking about this guy, Kilmar Abreu Garcia. Man, you wanna talk about out of the frying pan, into the fire, out of the fire, and into the incinerator? This guy, he cannot catch a break. Trump administration says Kilmar Abrego Garcia faces deportation to Eswatini. Do you know where Eswatini is? It's in Africa, and we're gonna get into this a little bit more, but this guy had it good. He should have taken the deal to Costa Rica and said, "I'm gonna be here for a while, but I'm gonna be on good behavior. I'm gonna get out. I'm gonna live my life." But no, he wanted to fight the system, and the libs propped him up, and the kings and queens, the kangs and queens in black robes decided they were gonna fight this battle, and he's, like, coming back to the United States, and so where are we gonna send him? Uganda. "No, no, no, I can't go to Uganda. I could be politically prosecuted there." Well, dude, you're Central American, South American. You don't know anybody there. So now they're gonna send him to Eswatini. But when we get back from the break, I'm gonna tell you where Eswatini really is and how bad it's gonna get for this joker. You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. You don't got to fear the Reaper. You don't got to fear little old me. I'm just a harmless little lovable fuzzball. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. And if you want to be part of the program today the number is 601 879 0002. The text line is open and it's blowing up. The number is 601 879 5060. I had this sent to me during the break. Before the deadly attack on this young Ukrainian woman was reported on X, the Associated Press had 0 stories. PBS had 0 stories. The New York Times had 0 stories. NPR, 0 stories. Wall Street Journal, 0 stories. The BBC, 0 stories. CNN, 0 stories. The Washington Post, 0 stories. Reuters, 0 stories. MSNBC/MS Now/BS Always, 0 stories. And this is coming from End Wokeness on X. I'm telling you now, people are waking up to this craziness, and we are seeing how this whole media conglomerate is trying to shape America thought, but it's not going to work. I'm not even going to say the name of the operation, but again, this is just another example. During the break, also, I got a text from, or not a text, but a Facebook alert from Mary Jo Perry. And she asked ChatGPT a question. If I wanted to support vaccines on social media, is there any way I can get paid? And ChatGPT came back with, great. If you are looking to get paid for promoting vaccines on social media, here are current 2025 opportunities and examples where individuals or organizations receive compensation or can apply for funding or to support vaccine messaging. And then it comes back with organizations. Colorado Public Health Campaign. They're paying $400 to $1,000 per month. Agencies like Ogilvy are increasingly building health influencer divisions. And this is all in ChatGPT. Sometimes, we talk about new technology coming online. We don't want to use it, but you have to use it like your enemy or your opponent would use it. Because if we don't, it's going to be ended up using against us, and we're just going to be even more behind the 8 ball than we already are. So, Eswatini was formerly known as Swaziland. It is a landlocked nation in Africa. They are a monarchy, and he's going to end up going to jail there. And let me tell you what, everybody's saying, oh, well, the judges brought him back, the judges. What did I tell you about Alligator Alcatraz when they shut it down a week and a half ago? And the left was sitting there doing a cheerleading day. Oh, yay. Oh, yay. Alligator Alcatraz going down. No. Guess what? That ruling was overturned. Now, did you hear about it this past weekend? Nope. No one heard about it. But it happened, and Alligator Alcatraz is going to continue to keep on going just like we said it would. Do not fall for the spinning of the political left and these news organizations who say, oh, Trump lost. Let it go through the system. And look, the punishment is the process for President Trump in all these legal battles. Because ultimately, if we follow the Constitution, we will prevail. The only way we do not prevail is if the Constitution is altered to now not allow it to do what it says it is going to do in the first place. And I'll tell you what, the race for 2028 is already on. Vice President J.D. Vance was on Fox last night, and we watched that interview. It was a great interview. You could totally tell while saying he wasn't running, he was running. And he's going to be he is Trump's vice president, and he is doing an amazing job as a vice president. I thought one of the most telling aspects of that whole conversation is how President Trump is allowing Vice President Vance to go out and do vice president things, to represent the United States of America overseas in big time meetings and negotiations and deals. He's allowing JD to grow, and it's pretty awesome. But let me tell you who else should not be looked at. And a lot of my Trumpster friends, you say this can't happen, but it might. Hold on. Let's take this phone call. Hey, go ahead. You're on the air radio.
Good morning. I'm going to change your subject just for a minute.
Okay.
Have you ever heard, I think he was a Lieutenant Colonel, Tom Collins. He spent 3.5 years in Hanoi Hilton. That's the prisoner of war camp in Hanoi.
Mm-hmm.
He died. So we want to remember him and his family. He was a great guy. He was in a wheelchair, and he suffered a lot. He never did nothing bad about the Vietnam people or anything else. He had his heart open, and he said first year he was in there, he thought about all the people he done wrong. Second year in there, he said prayer and he got the Lord, and the Lord carried him 3.5 years in there. And he's from Utica, Mississippi. I know he's gonna be buried in there, but I don't know. I ain't got no more on the funeral or anything. But his name is Lieutenant Tom Collins, but I think he's Lieutenant Colonel. I'm sorry, I can't remember all the stuff. But,
Tom Collins.
He was a real,
Tom Collins.
Yeah.
Air Force.
Yeah.
Clear. Air Force.
I think he was Air Force. He was a pilot. He was a pilot. Yeah, my Air Force. He got shot down over Hanoi.
Do you know what type of airplane he flew?
I'm sorry. I was in the Navy. I don't know all of that. I remember he talked about it, but anyway, you might can look him up on there, on and everything. But we want to remember him and his family, and especially what he went through. And he had a caring heart, and he didn't hate nobody, and he had a loving thing, and he was really a nice person. And to be what he went through and all that other, he survived. And he was over I think if I remember correctly, he was over several programs with the federal government. It was something to do with the VA and VA home loan or something. And he was over a couple of things in Washington. That's been years ago. Yeah, and he had quite a career. So it's something we want to honor him.
Yep.
You understand? He deserves it. And if you look that up, maybe you can read his obituary, because he's got a lot in there. And he was a loving general county person. Somebody else might know more than I know, because it's been a while since I've seen Tom.
Well, let me tell you that.
Let
me tell you this, shipmate. I will definitely do my research when I get off the show today, and we will look this gentleman up, and I will get the straight dope on it, and we will honor him. But you being a veteran and a shipmate yourself, I do have a question for you, and it's we're off topic, so it's all right. Are you a trusty Are you a trusty Shellback?
What did you say? What?
Shellback? Did you go over the equator?
No, I was with the Seabees.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with the Seabees. Seabees are great, and whenever we need something done, we know where to go and who's got the goods. That's awesome, man. I really
I know what you're talking about. I had friends talk about that.
Yep. No, it's all good. Not every sailor is a trusty Shellback, and I don't have a problem with any WOGs. I just, I always like to ask my fellow shipmates if they are, and it's always a good little talking point. Sir, I really appreciate you calling into the radio show today and bringing this up. I can promise you, I've written down Lieutenant Colonel Tom Collins' name. I will look him up. You said he was potentially born in Utica?
Utica. He's from Utica, Mississippi.
Got it.
Maybe I think he's a lieutenant. It's been a while since I talked. He's singing. I talked about everything. So
I'm sure.
In Brandon.
I'm sure the Andrew Gosser Show super sleuths and Googlers will get out there, and we will get this hooked up, and we will talk about him tomorrow on a segment.
Yes, we need to honor him for what he did and his attitude, his total attitude with people and everything.
Amen, brother. Thank you for the call.
Hey, you have a blessed day.
Yep,
Thank you.
you too. Bye-bye. I love my callers, man. We're not always on topic about everything, but we're gonna get the information out there. And anytime I get a chance to honor a Vietnam veteran and a flyer, I will. Look, we're gonna take a break a little early. And when I get back, I want to play this sound. You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. Oh, yeah. We are back on the Andrew Gosser Show here at 103.9 WYAB. I'm going to work really hard to get this piece of sound in. It's really important. JD Vance is running for vice or for president in 2028, and don't think for 1 minute that this man isn't also, and he's doing a fantastic job. As a governor in the great state of Florida.
So I'm here to announce today that we are authorizing and will be soon opening this new illegal immigration detention, processing, and deportation facility here in North Florida. We are calling this the Deportation Depot. It is going to be located here.
It's just so funny. These guys shut down Alligator Alley for 10 days. They take their victory lap, and then they get served this giant L. And Governor DeSantis come back. Hey, you like that? Here, have some of this. We're going to have the Deportation Depot to go along with the Louisiana lockup. And there's a place in Nebraska, too. It's the Cornhusker something. But I'll go figure that out. But let's finish listening to Governor DeSantis here, doing a great job in Florida.
Baker Correctional Institute. And again, the reason of this is not to just house people indefinitely. We want to process, stage, and then return illegal aliens to their home country. That is the name of the game. And that's what we do in Florida. We know that this is an important national priority, not only of President Trump, but of the American people. Of all the issues in the election, I can tell you this immigration and border issue was either the top or right near the top on all people's minds.
You can't tell me that this man isn't thinking about 2028, and I'm grateful he is. We need all the competition that we can get. President Trump going to do a great job the next 3.5 years. He's going to get a lot of stuff done, but we're going to have to continue the fight. Charlie Mike. And whether that's Vice President J.D. Vance or Governor Ron DeSantis or somebody else who's going to come in like a dark horse out of the back somewhere, that's fine too. But that's awesome. Here, let's finish. Let Governor DeSantis finish this up here, and then we got something else.
And so we have identified this location. It'll be able to hold more than 1,300 illegal alien detainees. You will have the same services that you have at Alligator Alcatraz. Costs will be reimbursed by our federal partners. And as I mentioned, Lake City Airport is just right down the road. It's 15 minutes away. This is something that the Division of Emergency Management worked very quickly on. This will be operational soon. It's not going to take forever, but we're also not rushing to do it right this day. They're doing what they need to do to get it.
And that's enough, Governor. We appreciate that. And it just goes to show you that all it takes is one person to step up and start leading, and other people start following on. In Nebraska, they have a ICE facility too. You know what they call it? The Cornhusker Clink. You're starting to see Republican governors get funny with the names and do that. And it's not funny because we've been invaded by a bunch of illegal aliens. And we all saw what happened with the Kia plant in Georgia. I think that's where it was, Georgia, where all those people got arrested who weren't necessarily Hispanics. They were Southern Koreans. Illegal immigration is a serious problem here in the United States. And it's going to take a lot to get it fixed. And it's not going to happen overnight, but it is going to happen. And we just have to make sure that when we have governors, when we have senators, when we have presidents or other political officials who are stepping out, trying to make it right, we acknowledge them and we say thank you for all the hard work that they're doing. Because if we don't, we're going to end up losing them, and it's going to just turn out to be an unmitigated disaster for us all. Look, this is just the first hour. Again, it's like I hit the live button at 10:06, and the next thing you know, it's 11 o'clock. In the next hour, we are going to talk about a study from Rutgers that's going to blow your mind. Some of you may have heard about it, others may not. We're going to talk about how the violent left is now starting to permeate the mainstream thinking and talking about how it's okay to use violence in political activities. You're listening to Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. Yes, you are. You are tuned in to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB, hour number 2. Today is the 8th of September, 2025. We are streaming on Rumble. We are streaming on X. We are streaming on YouTube. And we are not streaming on Facebook after I got a nastygram. Just not worth it. And you can always find us at WYAB.com. Always find me there. Look, if you want to be part of the program today, it's really easy to do. You can go ahead and give us a shout at 601-879-0002. Many of my texters, friends, love communicating that way. Blue Collar Crew, I hear you. I see you. That number is 601-879-5060. And our mission here at the Andrew Gosser Show, standard. We're here to equip the saints. We're here to listen to instruction and be wise and not to neglect it. We're not going to sit here and throw away all the wisdom from our founding fathers, from our parents, from our elders and people who we look up to. It's a lot easier to learn a lesson by listening to a story than actually having to go through the struggle. Although many of us would agree that probably had to go through that struggle to get us to where we are in the first place. But it doesn't make it any easier. All sorts of stuff going on. I did get this text over the weekend, and I almost forgot it. But long story short, Nick Sordor from Twitter is breaking. FBI Director Bongino just announced the FBI has arrested members of the Sinaloa cartel linked to gang for taking fraudulent PPP loans. I to be truthful, I did not look up PPP loans. I probably payday loan, maybe. I don't know. Someone text me, correct me. So COVID money from taxpayers ended up in the hands of cartel operatives. The one group that defrauded taxpayers out of $236,000 and believed to be involved in the distribution of hard drugs and other criminal activities, child trafficking, etc. And this unknown texter texts me. He goes, so Bongino can find an obscure cartel gang member in a few weeks and arrest them, but Cash and Bondi, after 7 months, still can't arrest anyone associated with the 10-year ongoing or the 10-month ongoing coup against President Trump. Got it. That's a phone drop. We don't know anything about the first assassination attempt on President Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania. We don't have anything on the golf course assassination attempt that happened in Florida. We don't have anything from the federal government on the Epstein files. But when we want to find something to get some positive PR out there, we'll get it. And the texter is exactly right. And this is what gets me in trouble with so many more established type Republicans, is that I'll point out these things. And it's not that I take joy in doing it, but we have to be consistent here. And the one thing that I hear about this show over and over again is that we're consistent. We're equal opportunity haters. And, you know, I'm not out here to disparage anyone, but when you mess it up, we got to call it out. So there is this study that came out from Rutgers, and it is not getting a lot of talk at all. And truth be told, this is just codifying and reinforcing everything that you and I already know because we have eyes and we can see it. The left wing, the militant left wing, is getting crazier and crazier the further and further out of power they do. They become more reckless, more radical, more nonsensical. They are truly fanatical. And this is a study that's coming out of Rutgers University, the college experience, as my daughter would say. I don't know what I feel about this college experience. If it's anything like this, I would just rather have her stay home. Find her something else to do. What do measures of authoritarianism measure? An examination of the factor structure underlying modern measures of authoritarianism. How do they measure authoritarianism. Now I can't say it. That's funny. Authoritarianism. How do they measure it? And they looked at right wing and left wing. So this isn't going to just be me picking on people. And the left wing authoritarianism questions are 1 through 36. And we're going to talk about them all because I truly believe that when you start hearing how these authoritarianism people think, we're going to figure out that they are violent, that there is a violent streak in them. And you will never hear this on the mainstream media, Wikipedia, anything like that. Heck, you can't even admit that the Nazis were a left-wing party and not a right-wing party. They always try to throw that word around the right wing, but they were actually leftists in nature. And when you start having that conversation, ifs, ands, or buts, maybes, and you hear them all stuttering around. But it is what it is. So what does the left-wing authoritarianism people think? The rich should be stripped of their belongings and status. According to this, 68% of the left-wing authoritarians agree with it. Rich people should be forced to give up virtually all of their wealth. 66%. Think about that candidate running for governor in New York, Zorhan. There shouldn't be any billionaires. He is living a blessed lifestyle, and he is trying to bite off the hand that feeds him, and he doesn't even realize the economics of how the United States of America works. And neither do these left-wing nut jobs. I genuinely believe they just want to live in communes and smoke all the pot and have their minds altered and just kind of veg out. Listen to this question. Question number 3. If I could remake history, I would put people who currently have the most privilege at the very bottom. 61%. What I want to know is, what's privilege? Are you just saying, is the color of your skin privilege? So just all white people automatically go to the bottom? Or is privilege working really hard at building a company up from the bottom up, sacrificing? We don't talk about it anymore, but there were a lot of self-made millionaires back in the 90s who lived off of mac and cheese and ramen noodles for a long time. Now they're eating their Wagyu. Wagyu's pretty yummy, by the way. Listen to this. Question number 4. America would be much better off if all the rich people were at the bottom of the social ladder. 67%. Left-wing authoritarians. There is nothing they don't want to tear down in America. They must hate themselves. Being surrounded by all this individual brilliance and greatness, hard work, ethics. This is the one that will get people fired up. When the tables are turned on the oppressors at the top of the society, I will enjoy watching them suffer the violence that they have inflicted on so many others. 45%. 45% of the left-wing authoritarians out there want violence. They want to see it. Just for the record, anybody who's on the political right, if you want to see this, I do not associate with you, and I don't want anything to do with you. I do not want any violence. I do want the illegal immigrants to be booted out of this country as quickly and as efficiently as possible. I do want to see the sex traffickers and human traffickers locked up. I don't agree with any of that. Listen to this. Question number 6. Most rich Wall Street executives deserve to be thrown in prison. Do you think that's over 50%? Over 60%? How about 57% of left-wing authoritarians want them all locked up, thrown in prison? What would that do if we took all of our CEOs and leaders of all of our biggest companies and just threw them in jail? Some people say, Andy, well, yeah, we could throw all the pharmaceutical people in jail. Touche. But in general, I think that I don't want to see that. If they've committed crimes, then let's put them in jail. But just to say I want to put them in jail to put them in jail, no. Listen to this one. Constitutions and laws are just another way for the powerful to destroy our dignity and individuality. How warped and corrupted is your education if you do not think that the Constitution of the United States protects your individual rights? I don't even understand how some people can put that down on a piece of paper and truthfully think that. The ninth question. We need to replace the established order by any means necessary. What is any means necessary? Violence? Assassination? 46% of the political left-wing authoritarians believe in any means necessary. Think about this. How many of those left-wing lunatics out there were happy when that healthcare CEO got assassinated in New York? Think about the liberal media news coverage about, oh, they got him. Do you really want to live in a society like that? I do not. These lunatics on the left after COVID have gone completely over the cliff, over the edge, and they are rapidly degrading the American society, the fabric of our country. It's no longer the content of the character, but the color of your skin and your political ideology. These same people couldn't handle it if they had to go live in another country. They wouldn't even begin to be able to have the rights that they have now, that they take for granted, that they exercise in ways that, while you can do it, it doesn't mean that it's right or it's the right thing to do, and you can't end up causing a lot more damage than good. Certain elements of our society must be made to pay for the violence of their ancestors. 56%. I'm just saying to all you left-wing authoritarians that are white, you're gonna be paying for that according to this. It's brutal. This goes on, and I wanna go through all these questions because the more you know, the better off you're gonna be. And by the way, this is gonna be tweeted on my X account, so you can go ahead and read these questions for yourselves. I'm not here to, like, incite violence. This is an academic report. You can read it for yourself. You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. Oh, yeah. Welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We're getting under the Democrats' nerves every day. This just came flying through me. Obamacare was trending. And it's true. For all you Democrats who voted for this Obamacare and said it's going to make it cheaper, it's going to make it cheaper. Well, the average monthly premium when Obamacare went into enactment was $200. Today it's over $1,800 or $200 a month. Today it's over $1,800 a month. Where is your outrage? The complete opposite of what happened, what you thought would happen with Obamacare has happened. And then I love my sweet beat. It's got a picture of the Great Britain flag. We're not going to be put in prison because we're in America, so we can actually fly the Great Britain flag and the English police won't come and arrest us. But it says, I need stitches. And in Great Britain, you're going to have to wait 56 days for those stitches, 54 days. In America, I need stitches. That's going to cost you $10,000. In Canada, I need stitches. Have you considered suicide? That's right. For those of you who don't know, Canada does have a suicide option that they're trying to push. They voted it through Parliament, and that's just how whacked out and crazy those suckers are over there. All right. We were talking about these left-wing authoritarian questions. I would prefer a far-left leader with absolute authority over a right-wing leader with limited power. 62%. Completely unhinged. Anyone who opposes gay marriage must be homophobic. 58%. Deep down, just about all conservatives are racists, sexist, and homophobic. 73%. You want to know why the political divide in America is so wide? It's because of these left-wing nut jobs out there. They are so far to the left. Look, you can be against homosexuality, gay marriage, and the like, and never think a bad thought about doing anything to anybody who happens to practice that lifestyle. I don't want to have it thrown in my face like it is. I don't want to have to support certain things about that, but I don't care what you do with your life. I don't want you to go to hell, but if that's what you're intent on doing, carry on. Listen to this. Wait, no, this is the one. People who are truly worried about terrorism should shift their focus to the nut jobs on the far right. 67%. You think about, I mean, I'll tell you what's a dangerous place right now is private schools, conservative schools, charter schools, Christian schools. Are you saying that they're being attacked by the far right? Was this lady in Charlotte who just got stabbed however many times it was with the pocket knife, was that attacker on the far right? How about the 56 people who were killed in Chicago? Were their attackers far right? Is that terrorism? Are the citizens of Chicago living in terror right now? Are the citizens in Southern Jackson living in terror? Crime's pretty high there too. The old-fashioned ways and old-fashioned values need to be abolished. 67%. Radical and progressive moral values can save our society. 55%. I completely disagree with that. I think we need to have a marketplace of ideas where we can see what works and what doesn't work. But do you always notice that people on the left always want more of other people's money to fund their pet projects? Oh, this would work if we could just get more money. Meanwhile, you're lowering the standard of living for everybody and raising the misery index. And again, these are all the left-wing authoritarians who are answering this question. Self-identified, by the way. All political conservatives are fools. 72%. I was talking about that ideological divide where, you know, if I'm a liberal and you're a conservative, I can't talk to you. I cannot imagine myself becoming friends with a political conservative. 70%. Now you know why Christmas and Thanksgiving holiday days have completely gone to hot garbage. You know, these kids who go off to college and come back crazy liberals and they can't stand mom and dad because they're celebrating Christmas. Never mind, mom and dad are paying for all their bills, all their medical treatment. 70%. This is a good one. Conservatives are morally inferior to liberals. Morally inferior to liberals. 69%. Look, this is the study from Rutgers, an esteemed academic institution. This is what the data says. The fact that I'm actually able to make a whole segment, 2 segments, maybe even 3 segments out of these questions and absolutely floor so many of you, like the text line is blowing up. So many of you are asking for it. I put it on X. I can't cut and paste it all into each individual message. Just go to my X, you'll see it. Listen to this. It is important that we destroy the West's nationalist, imperialistic values. Whatever happened to those who destroy their history are doomed to repeat it. We wouldn't even be here if we didn't have colonization from England. We would all be stuck over there in that system. And I can tell you that talking to my friends in London, they're not happy right now. It's funny. They want to take all the growth and success and victory that the United States has brought them, and then they just want to wipe it away. They want to tear down statues. They want to move statues. I'm not saying that we celebrate our history, but we sure as heck don't erase it. We don't forget it. We don't move it. And I realize where I'm at. If we do those things, we will be in such a dark place. We will never be able to crawl out of that again. I hate being around non-progressive people. 54%. So that means if you go up and you just start chatting with a Democrat, there's about a 50-50% chance, 50-50 chance that they're going to absolutely despise you for being conservative. Now you know why people wig out when they see a red hat. I used to think that a lot of those videos on airplanes where people walk on with MAGA hats and they're like, you can't sit here, you've got a MAGA hat on, blah, 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 blah. I used to thought all that was staged, but I'm starting, after reading this, I think it's starting to become true. Look, we got a lot more questions to get through. I do want to get through them all. I will read your text during the break. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. And we are back on the Andrew Gosser Show. We are rocking and rolling. Got a few more questions here. Listen to this. I am in favor of allowing the government to shut down right-wing internet sites and blogs that promote nutty, hateful positions. 56%. That's just what's happening. That's actually what's happening overseas. It's not that it's right-wing or left-wing. If it doesn't agree with the authoritarian government over there, they're just getting rid of it. And people are getting upset about it, both on the right and the left, as they should be. You know, the First Amendment doesn't protect your fragility. You know, we have great examples of what it means to have a First Amendment right here on WYAB with Clay Edwards in the morning at 7 a.m. Best morning show in Mississippi, in my opinion. And Kim Wade at 4 p.m. today. He'll tell it to you straight. Who? Radio Strongman. You telling me you would get rid of those two shows? I'm not saying that they're right wing or left wing. I'm just saying that there's a lot of people who do not think that those opinions that they often say are in the majority. Radio Strongman's been, as Clay says, Godfather, and Clay show is the most incendiary. Mine's just national news and how I see stuff. Listen to this. Getting rid of inequality is more important than protecting the so-called right to free speech. 57%. We can't defend our arguments, so just get rid of the other arguments so we win. This is the typical left-wing, every kid gets a trophy mentality. When I was going through my undergrad, my professor, I think, secretly agreed with me, but every time I would make an argument, man, he would come in for the kill. He'd make me so ferociously defend my position and my arguments. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, my gosh, I brought out the statistics, I brought out the facts, I spoke it well. And sometimes people forget that you need to go through those hard battles to be able to defend your points. It's easy to defend your point with someone who's in agreement with you. But when someone who disagrees with you tries to come up and start throwing shade, you have to have those facts, which is why we're going through this, because that is part of the Andrew Gosser Show, to equip the saints. And you guys are the saints. Last one. Well, there's some other questions too, but this is the last one with the left-wing authoritarianism. Fox News, right-wing talk radio, and other conservative media outlets should be prohibited from broadcasting their hateful views. 64%. You know, if I would have done a little bit more show prep on this, I would have done the average. It would have been well over 50%. But the left-wing authoritarians are the ones who are driving the Republican Party right now. That's who's giving you Zoran Mondami in New York, and that guy in Minnesota, Minneapolis, Minnesota. They're the ones who are driving organizations inside of Mississippi that are rapidly trying to destabilize the Black community in the name of civil rights. And I make this very clear. I do not think that all Democrats agree with what this is right here. I think this is a very segmented group of very vocal and influential liberal Democrats and socialists and anarchists. And this paper is 110 pages long, and you can go through it and read it. It's absolutely incredible. I did get 3 comments that I do have to make, and I don't like talking about it often but sometimes it just happens, and it's just the way it is. So I just put it out there, and I pray for grace when I do. Many of you know I have Parkinson's, and my vocabulary used to be really good, and I had a vast vocabulary. I was very, I could articulate things really well. With just something with the Parkinson's that does that. So if I offend you in that way, I apologize. I don't mean to do it, but I do feel I have to acknowledge that, especially when I get a brand new unknown texter asking me what I'm on. I'm on Parkinson's, man. It sucks. But I don't complain about it. I move forward. We move forward every day. There are a whole nother set of questions who were asked by just regular Democrats. And it's interesting to hear what they say. These were questions that they ended up saying. Our country desperately needs a mighty and political leader who will do what needs to be done to destroy the ways of doing things that are ruining us. 59%. The only way our country can get through this crisis ahead is to put some tough leaders into power who have the correct values and silence the troublemakers in spreading bad ideas. 59%. Our country will be destroyed someday if we do not smash the beliefs eating away at our national fiber. 56%. Even the middle of the roaders can see this ideological bent and how it's impacting our civil discourse, not just, in Congress. We expect the fireballers to be up there or even at our state house. But we used to have this ability to talk to each other, and this entire study, which I highly recommend you all read, I guarantee you, if you bring these facts with you to some of your political debates with your friends, you will certainly have the upper hand. It was just really, really shocking to me, and I wanted to share that all with you. I do want to talk about a couple more of the kings and queens. Second Circuit Court rejects appeal. Trump is ordered to pay $84 million to E. Jean Carroll for a sexual assault in a Nordstrom's, I think it was, in a shopping center, in a high-end department store back in the 90s. And now that's going to be, it was first appealed for presidential immunity, and now it's actually going to go up on a real appeal for various reasons. I mean, 84 million for something that happened 30 years ago that she couldn't even remember all the details, and it's worth going over. How about this? The Supreme Court overturned the Los Angeles court, and now ICE can go ahead and do activities in the city of LA. Look, I know it's got to be so difficult sometimes to be hearing all these political victories, and especially the way that the media reports it. They aggrandize everything. If it bleeds, it leads. Sex sells. They want to make the most money, get the highest ratings, and make the story as sensational as it possibly can be. That's all they're there for. And once we get that through our nuggets, things tend to get a little bit easier to comprehend and understand. The tariffs deal is still going through the Supreme Court. I absolutely think that it will be Trump's tariffs will be upheld. It might take a little bit longer. If you notice that ruling is having a negative effect on our economy in the aspect that jobs growth isn't as quickly as it was that people are starting to be a little bit more bearish, a little bit more worried. They're actually thinking about lowering interest rates now, which they should have done 3 months ago, which would have continued the growth, in my humble opinion. These kings and queens in black robes, I'm telling you, that's where the real battle is being fought right now. In elections, it just continues to show that the majority of the time, conservative ideas win. There are some cases in special elections recently where the Democrat has won, and I just think that just goes to show you that people can independently think for themselves. I don't think many in this audience will probably just vote a certain way, but I'll tell you what, I before I actually fill in the bubble for the person that I'm voting for, I have looked not only at their positions, but the content of their character. And does it meet what I want to have happen? And some people say, "Well, Andy, you voted for Trump. How can you the content of his character with everything in his past? He's been divorced, bankrupt." I get that, but isn't that what the devil wants you to do, is completely go on the past and not what they've done recently? Make you feel inadequate, that you're not worthy? I I don't mind going out there and say, "I don't think you should vote for this person because of but." But as soon as you get into those personal attacks and making me think that this person isn't quote unquote worthy, well, I'll tell you, if that's the standard that we're using, then nobody listening to this show is worthy, and we'll be right back. Yes, we are back at the Andrew Gosser Show. And, this time slot is so awesome for me because there is so much breaking news that happens while the show is going to. I can just jump to it. And we were just talking about different lawsuits that the left has brought up to stifle Trump, including Trump's ability not to fire Federal Trade Commission commissioners. And they stopped that. Well, guess what? That just got overturned by the Supreme Court. Of all people, Supreme Court Justice Roberts said, Trump, if you want to get rid of that person, get him out. And guess what? As my son would say, she gone. She's out of there. That's great stuff. Kristi Noem says that all the South Koreans that we're deporting from the Kia plant won't hurt the industry, and it won't hurt the relationship between South Korea and the United States. And I agree with that. And now all of a sudden the headlines are starting to come in. Supreme Court lists restrictions on the Los Angeles immigration stops based on race or language. Basically telling those libs where to go and what to do. So see, it's not all doom and gloom out there. They want you to doom scroll. They want you to feel bad. They want you to be, quite frankly, depressed and think that the end is in sight, that it's all going downhill. But it's not. There is way too much good stuff going on out there, especially locally here in Mississippi. I know a lot of you out there are like, Andy, you're crazy. But I'm telling you, with the people that I come in contact with daily and weekly who are thinking about running for something for the first time, it's empowering. And I am so grateful that so many of you are looking to lower level stuff and not going for the top right away. You want to go after Benny? That's fine. Make sure you got yourself $5 million and don't think that you're just going to, if you've never fundraised before, don't go for it, because you're going to find yourself in a tough spot, And we don't want that. We don't want that to happen at all. Yep. It's been a great show. And this is something that a friend of mine always told me. He always used to call me a Barnabas and an encourager. So I want to encourage all of you as we get ready to go on with the rest of our day. Therefore, to continue to encourage one another and build each other up, just as you already are doing. That's what we're doing here at the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. I love it how the calls come in with 40 seconds to go, man. It's awesome. But that's what we're doing here. Not just on our show, but all the shows here on WYAB. We are so grateful and thankful for all of you who tuned in to listen in your morning. I want you to know that I appreciate it, whether you listen to my show or the other shows. Sean and Lindsay are coming up next on Crossing the Aisle, and we will be back in roughly 22 hours and 7 minutes here at the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9. Take care, everybody. Be blessed.